Today we'll be doing powder charge and bullet seeding for my match ammo.
3, 2, 1, time.
Alright, so last video I talked about the powder charge that I'm using, which is the A&D FX120i with the auto trickler on it. That particular one is the version 2/3, and it has the Ingenuity Precision Trickler or powder meter hooked up to it. And we are going to be putting Varget into these cases and then adding a Berger 105 hybrid on top. And then we're going to be seeding it on the Area 419 Zero Press using the Short Action Customs The Seeder. This is a great seeding die. It's got this little Mitutoyo header on it that is very precise for exactly seeding the bullet just the right depth. And the Zero Press has the ability to, it almost acts like an arbor press, kind of like an upside down arbor press in some ways. I'll have to show you that when we get to it, but that is the charger we're going to use. And then we are going to seat the bullet. We are going to be able to measure the bullet to make sure that it is the right length. And then we're going to mark it and get it ready for the next match. So we have the A&D scale sitting here on my reloading bench. It is on top of a piece of granite. This is a scrap piece of granite that I got from some granite installers. And then it is plugged in through a hole in the desk, and it goes down to a APC backup so that it has a cleaner electrical current coming into it. It doesn't takes care of some of the spikes. It is by no means going to be you know, an absolute thing, but it does help a little bit, I feel. I also turn off any air conditioning that is going to be in the room so I can get the you know, less drafts in the room is going to help this scale as well. I am using a lot of the Area 419 billet pieces, including their cup and their funnel, which I like a lot. So the first thing we end up having to do is to make sure, first of all, that it has been warmed up. And this particular one has been sitting here about 30 minutes. So it is warmed up, it's ready to go. And the first thing I'm going to do is calibrate it by putting a weight on it. It's exactly 100 gram weight. So we're going to calibrate. It says 0. I am going to check to make sure there's no powder on the platen. There's not, so hit go. And then I add the 100 gram weight. And as you can see, I'm using this little wrench. It actually is from my draw trimmer. It's perfect for holding it in there, and that keeps the oils from my fingers off of it so that it doesn't change the weight at all. So after 100, it's good to go. I'll pull it back out. And I'm ready to go. So the first thing then I need to do is to open the app. I'm going to scan. It's going to connect. And then I'm going to add my weight. This particular charge that I'm working with is 29.5 grains of Varget. So I am going to put down 29.51. I talked about that in the last video. That extra 1/100th allows the greatest chance for hitting 29.5 on the dot. So we're gonna tap that to set it. All right, and now that that's been sitting there, we need to re-zero out the scale, and then it should start throwing. $29.5 on the dot. Now, while this is throwing the next round, I am working on putting a bullet in and getting everything ready. So I'm not just sitting here normally, just feeding this. 29.5, oh, maybe a little bit over. Do one more. There you go. So that is over and over what I do. Now, while that is running, normally what I'm doing is taking that round, that brass, adding my bullet, and putting it over in the zero press. Now, another thing I'm checking for at all times is to make sure no powder has bounced in there. If it has, I have this long paintbrush. I actually got this with the Super Trickler, and there I can reach in and pull it out. So you constantly want to look and make sure that there's no powder just sitting on there. So let me show you the next steps of seating and what else I do. Okay, so for the Area 419 Zero Press, you can change the heads out. You just simply unscrew this and you can change out the different pieces on it. Sometimes I'm using more of a regular shell holder. Sometimes I am using the ones that you can change by the thousandth for sizing. But when I am seating, I like this flat one. And as you can see, one of the things it does very well, by you can see those marks on it, is it centers it. And I don't even have to put it in the center. It is kind of a self-centering concept. So when I can put this on here, it has the ability to move around. So as it goes up into the die, it's going to center itself. And even if I put it off center, watch the bottom of it move and center up as I do that. And then as I pull it back down, it actually does stay up in there. And I reach up and I pull it back down. Show you one more. Put it on there. Pull it down. So to show you another angle, and usually I'm standing closer to where the camera is now, but if I put a bullet in the charged case and put it in there, you will see I have this handle set up fairly short and on the left side. So when I size, I do it long on the right. When I do the mandrel, I do it short on the right. And when I seat, I put it short on the left. And the reason being is I'm standing over here, so I reach over with my left hand and do it. And I want to feel that. So that's why I like it shortened up a little bit. If I have too much leverage, I have too much force. and I won't feel it as much, so I shorten it up as much as I can, and I can feel it. If for some reason I feel the bullet seat too easily, I will set that one aside. I will either use that one as a fouling round, or I may even pull it, resize it, and see what's happening there. But that one feels exactly as it should. I reach up and I pull it down. So one of the other things we need to check is to make sure that my bullet is being seated the correct amount. I've used different comparators before, including the Hornady ones. This one from Short Action Customs for both measuring bump on your sizing as well as measuring your bullet seating is the way to go. It costs a little more. It is specific for different calibers and different bullet sizes, but it is worth every penny. It does such a good job, and you can measure things that way, and you are all set to go. But for the most part, once I have that figured out what size I need it to be for my rifle, I then can use this comparator here. Now this one measures off of the shoulder, which is actually a better way to measure than off of the base. From the shoulder, where it is fully inserted into the chamber, to where the land start is the measurement that you really want. So with this particular comparator from Accuracy One, I am able to take my finished round and put it up in there, and if it's 0, then it is set to where I was on the round that I had figured out was the perfect amount of jump for me. I'm usually jumping about 20 thousandths, or at least that's where I start on my rifle, and I tend not to touch it much the entire way. Even as it erodes away, I pretty much keep it. I know the jump is increasing as the barrel ages, but I've never seen a degradation in accuracy from it. So I could take that one. This is the other two that I just made. That one's good. And that one's good. And you can see how quickly I can check with that gauge to see how they are. So I'll show you now my complete run through about what I do. All right, so this is the complete run through. I'm going to add powder to the cup. I am going to charge the brass with that powder, put a bullet on, seat it, check its the bullet jump, and then I'm going to mark it and put it in the brass. This is my marker. I'm having trouble remembering whose this is. It's just a little 3D printed one. It's great. And I simply just take a round, I lift this up, I put it in there, and then I just spin it, and now I have a green mark on the groove of the extractor groove of the brass. And I add it in here. By that time, this is ready to go. So I'll show you how it goes. All right, so we're gonna start the process by simply putting the cup on the scale. It'll charge the first round. $29.5 on the dot. $29.5 on the dot. And there you go. And that's what I just do over and over. You can see the timing is pretty darn good. For by the time I have completed all these steps, and you will see that I'll take that bullet seating depth, you know, to a thou is fine. 5/10 thousandths is fine. You see that a lot. And of course 0. So when it starts getting into 2 or 3, I might set that one aside and use it for a fouler or pull it and reload it. So that's the basic steps that I have. And the very last one I do is to take this Coltac Ammo Novel. I've used other ones in the past, but this one works great. And it holds a lot of rounds, enough for a day of shooting at a match. And I will take all these rounds and I will load them in. And I will load at least 2 magazines worth of rounds for when I get to the match and need to zero and check speeds on the magneto speed and things like that. So that is the last step for my creating match ammo for shooting PRS. All right, shooters, that's it. You saw me take a fired round from my last match, put it through all of its brass prep, cleaning, getting it ready, all the way to putting primers in, putting powder in, putting a bullet in, and seating it. Now we have a round ready to send and hit some steel. So I appreciate you watching my series. Sorry again it took so long to get these last ones out, but I think it was worth trying to get to understand some of the other powder chargers a little bit better. And I know I am in a better place for doing that. And I think I have a good system set up now. It's a complicated system. There's a lot of steps involved, but I always get great rounds out of it. Low SDs, low ESs, and small groups. And so I appreciate it, and I hope to see you out at a match sometime soon. And if you are, don't forget, use your precision match timer and get a better idea of how much time you have left on the clock.